You know, one of the most common inner struggles people face today, regardless of their level of faith, education, or background, is overthinking, that endless cycle of thoughts where the mind races, constantly analyzing every possibility, every past decision, every future fear. It feels like you're trying to solve a puzzle with missing pieces, and the irony is the more you think, the less clarity you seem to gain. You begin to spiral, you doubt yourself, you question everything, and at some point you even start questioning Allah's plan. Overthinking is not a reflection of intelligence, it's a reflection of fear, fear of uncertainty, fear of failure, fear that if we don't mentally dissect every detail, somehow we'll fall behind, miss an opportunity, or be caught off guard. But the truth is, overthinking is like being in a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it gets you nowhere. Psychologically, it creates mental exhaustion. You feel tired not because you've done anything physically, but because your brain has been on overdrive trying to resolve things that are often outside your control. And that's the deeper issue here, control. Overthinking is often a misguided attempt to gain control over the uncontrollable. We think, if I can just understand it better, maybe I can prevent it from going wrong. But where is the space for Allah in that equation? If we truly believe He is in control, why are we trying to outthink His cater? That's a question we each need to confront within ourselves. Let's step back and reflect. Do we overthink because we are thinkers by nature? Or is it because we lack trust in what we can't see, can't predict, can't guarantee? There's a philosophical arrogance buried inside overthinking, where the mind starts to believe it can think its way through everything, even what belongs in the unseen. But Islam reminds us that Gabe the unseen, is part of the test. You are not meant to know everything, and the demand to know is what often fuels anxiety. Now, I'm not saying don't plan. Islam encourages planning, thinking ahead, taking wise steps. But there's a difference between reflection and obsession, between preparing and paralyzing yourself. If you notice, overthinking doesn't usually lead to better decisions. It leads to no decisions. You delay, hesitate, second, guess, and before you know it, you've missed the moment. Shaitan loves this. He feeds off delay. He whispers, what if it goes wrong? What if you regret it? And so you stay stuck, doubting every door, even the ones Allah opened for you. This is where we need to reclaim our mental and spiritual space. Start by recognizing that overthinking is not helping you. It's hurting you, it's stealing your peace, it's making you live in a future that hasn't happened or a past you can't change. You're losing your now, your today, the only moment you actually have control over. The Prophet Muhammad taught us to say Hasbun Allah, huwa ni'mal wakil, Allah is sufficient for us, and He is the best disposer of affairs. That's not just a dua for crisis, it's a daily mindset. It's a way of reminding the self, I don't have to carry all of this alone. I don't have to figure everything out right now. Let your heart breathe. Let your mind rest. You are not failing by letting go. You are surrendering to the one who never fails. And so, the next time your mind begins to spiral, pause. Take a breath. Remind yourself that you were not created to bear the weight of the universe on your shoulders. That's Allah's role, not yours. Stop trying to be the author of every outcome. Start being a sincere contributor, and let Allah write the rest. Let's be honest with ourselves for a moment. Much of our emotional turmoil, our inner restlessness, stems from forgetting where our responsibility ends and where Allah's power begins. We're taught to work hard, to think things through, to make the best choices we can. That's part of our test in this life. But somewhere along the way, we blur the line between doing our part and trying to control everything. And that's where the trouble begins. The human being is limited by design. We were created with boundaries, intellectual, physical, emotional. We don't know what tomorrow holds, we can't change the past, and we can't force any specific outcome no matter how much we want it. Yet we often live as if we could. We overanalyze the future, dwell on every scenario, try to manipulate results in our mind, believing that if we just think hard enough, plan well enough, we can guarantee a specific result. But that's not how life works, and it's certainly not how faith works. There is a deep psychological burden in trying to control what is not within your control. It creates a tension inside you, a constant fear that something might slip through your fingers. But the truth is, most things were never in your hands to begin with, and this is where faith comes in, not just as a concept, but as a spiritual anchor. Tawakkul, trust in Allah, is not about laziness. It's not about closing your eyes and saying, whatever happens, happens. No, it's a deep, calm confidence in knowing that once you've done your part, the outcome belongs to Allah. It's like planting a seed. You dig the soil, water the earth, care for the plant. But can you force it to grow? Can you command the rain, the sunlight, the exact yield? No. Your job is the effort. The results belong to the one who created the system in the first place. And when we forget that, we start to carry stress that doesn't belong to us. We try to carry the weight of Qadr, the divine plan, as if it's our personal responsibility, but it's not. That's Allah's domain. This is a mindset shift. It's about accepting that your role is limited, but valuable. You are not powerless, but you are not all powerful either. The sooner you recognize that boundary, the more peace you'll feel. And this isn't just theoretical, it's deeply practical. When something goes wrong, instead of saying, I should have predicted this, or why didn't I see it coming, you remind yourself, I acted with sincerity, I used the knowledge I had, the outcome was always Allah's. You see, the desire to control everything is often rooted in fear. Fear of failure, fear of loss, fear of pain. But the beauty of faith is that it invites us to move through fear, not by pretending it's not there, but by placing it in the hands of the one who knows better than we ever will. When you say, Ya Allah, I've done my best, I leave the rest to you, you're not giving up, you're letting go of the illusion of control, and that's a form of strength, not weakness. The Prophet said, if you were to rely upon Allah with the reliance He is due, you would be provided for like the birds. They go out hungry in the morning and return full in the evening. Look at that image. The bird doesn't sit in its nest all day making dua for food. It flies, it searches, it moves, but it doesn't panic. It doesn't worry about what the future holds. It trusts the system Allah created, and that is the balance we need to seek. So if you're tired, if your heart is heavy from trying to manage everything, step back. Acknowledge your limits, do your best, then let Allah take it from there. Because the moment you stop fighting for control is the moment you make space for divine wisdom to unfold. Sometimes what weighs us down the most is not what actually happened, but the fear that things didn't or won't go according to our plan. And here's where we need to pause and ask, whose plan are we truly living by? Is it ours or is it Allah's? You see, we spend so much of our lives crafting expectations. We build mental blueprints of how life should unfold. This is how the job should work out, how the marriage should feel, how the health report should look, how the path to success should be. But when things don't follow that script, we panic. We feel betrayed by life, sometimes even by Allah. And that's where the heart begins to crack, because we were holding too tightly to our version of the plan and not trusting enough in His. But the truth is, Allah's plan is always unfolding, even when we can't see it. Even when it looks like things are going wrong, even when we face delay, rejection, loss, or heartbreak, it doesn't mean Allah isn't there. It often means He's redirecting us, protecting us, or preparing us for something better. But we don't always have the wisdom to see it in the moment, and that's where faith comes in, not blind optimism, but trust in His superior knowledge. Allah is Al-Hakim the most wise, not just in how He creates, but in how He plans. He sees beyond what you and I can see. While we look at the next few steps ahead, He sees the entire journey. He knows which closed doors are saving you, which delays are building your patience, which struggles are shaping your character. And when you really reflect on this, you realize that things going off plan are never off track. They're just off your track, so they can fall into his . Think about the story of Musa, and Khidr in the Quran. When they encountered events that seemed unfair or senseless, the sinking of the boat, the killing of a young boy Musa couldn't understand, but Khidr reminded him that divine wisdom doesn't always make sense immediately. Only after explanation did it become clear that everything happened for a reason. And that's the key. Sometimes Allah's wisdom is only revealed asterisk after asterisk. We've lived through the confusion, not before. And psychologically, this is powerful. Because if you believe that life is random, that everything depends on you, then failure is devastating. But if you trust that there's a higher order to things, an unseen wisdom guiding your path, then even your setbacks become part of something meaningful. You stop asking, why me, and start saying, what is Allah trying to show me through this? You stop resenting detours and start recognizing divine redirection. You realize that trusting in Allah's plan isn't about passive waiting, it's about active surrender. You still take the steps, you still make the dua, you still strive, but your heart remains calm when things unfold differently, because deep down you've already accepted that Allah's knowledge of the unseen is better than your knowledge of the now. The Prophet said, amazing is the affair of the believer, all of his matters are good. If something good happens, he is grateful. If something difficult happens, he is patient, and that is only for the believer. This is a mindset built on trust. It's not about living a life free from hardship. It's about believing that no matter what happens, Allah's plan will never be unjust. So maybe today, what you thought was a loss was actually a layer of protection. Maybe the closed door you cried over was the one shielding you from harm. Maybe the delay you're frustrated with is the exact pause you need before the breakthrough. Because the one who truly trusts in Allah doesn't need to see the full plan. He just needs to know who the planner is. One of the most overlooked solutions to overthinking is also one of the most powerful tools Allah has given us. Dua. Yet so often, instead of turning to Allah with our uncertainty, we try to solve everything with our own limited reasoning. We analyze, we stress, we replay scenarios in our minds as if somehow thinking harder will give us control. But it doesn't, it just deepens the spiral. This is where we need to remind ourselves that thinking alone doesn't solve everything, action does. And in Islam, dua is a form of action. It's not just emotional release. It's a declaration of trust. When you make dua, you're saying, Ya Allah, I'm aware of my limits. I've done what I can. Now I hand it over to you. Psychologically, that's powerful. It shifts your burden. It removes the unhealthy weight of I must figure this out on my own, and replaces it with I'm being guided. That one shift from carrying your problem to handing it over in dua can be the difference between spiritual paralysis and emotional peace. But it doesn't end with dua, because Islam doesn't teach us to just pray and wait. It teaches us to pray and act. Even when you don't have all the answers, you still take steps. Even when you're unsure, you still move forward with Tawakkul. The Prophet Muhammad didn't just sit in the cave of Hira after receiving revelation. He got up, he acted, he preached, he faced struggle, but at every step his heart was anchored in dua. This is where a lot of us struggle today. We make dua, but then we go right back into overthinking, as if Allah didn't hear us, as if our request needs micromanagement. But true trust means, once you've made sincere dua, once you've done your part, let it go. You're not abandoning responsibility. You're shifting it to the one who knows how to handle it best. And that's not just theology, that's emotional intelligence. Because rumination, this constant mental replay, doesn't create progress. It keeps you stuck in analysis mode, fearing action, and fear, if left unchecked, creates a form of internal paralysis. You start to think yourself out of opportunities. You overestimate the risks, underestimate your readiness, and before you know it, life has passed by while you were still figuring it out. But imagine if instead of overthinking, you trained yourself to pause, raise your hands and say, Ya Allah, guide me to what's best. And then, imagine if after that you took just one step, no overplanning. No obsessing, just one step with trust. This is what it means to live in harmony with your thoughts. Not to silence them, but to discipline them. You redirect them. You say, yes, I'm thinking, but now I choose to make dua. I choose to move. I choose to trust. And this discipline, this conscious practice, becomes a shield against the mental clutter that leads to anxiety. The Quran reminds us beautifully, call upon me, I will respond to you. Surah Ghafir 40:60. That's not just a verse for desperate moments, it's a daily invitation, a reminder that your thoughts were never meant to be carried alone. You were always meant to bring them to Allah and then rise, lighter and more focused. So if your mind is heavy, if your heart is restless, don't sit in silence hoping clarity will strike. Pour it out in dua, then take a step, any step, in the direction of goodness, and trust that if your intention is sincere, Allah will carry you the rest of the way. Because dua without movement is incomplete, and movement without dua is blind, but together they unlock the path you were always meant to walk. When we talk about trusting Allah, it often sounds like a beautiful idea, something we say when things are out of our hands. But Tawakkul is more than a statement. It's a mindset, a way of life, and it only becomes real when we practice it daily, not just in times of desperation. The mistake many of us make is treating trust in Allah as a last resort. We try everything else over, think, stress, plan endlessly, and only when we're exhausted we say, I'll just leave it to Allah. But true Tawakkul doesn't start when you've run out of options. It starts with your first step. From the moment you face a decision, a challenge, a moment of uncertainty, that's when you bring Allah into the equation, not later. Look at the way the Prophet Muhammad lived. His life wasn't free from challenges. In fact, it was filled with hardship. But what made him a model for us was the way he trusted Allah at every stage. Whether migrating to Medina under threat, facing armies in battle, or dealing with betrayal from within his own community, he always took the best possible means. But he never put his trust in the means. His heart was anchored in Allah. This is where many of us get it wrong today. We confuse trust with control. We think, if I plan well enough, I can avoid failure. Or, if I make no mistakes, everything will go as I want. But life doesn't work that way. You could do everything right and still be tested, and you could make mistakes, yet Allah can still guide you to success. That's why Tawakkul is not passive. It's not sitting back and doing nothing. It's doing your part with full effort and then fully detaching from the outcome. The psychological impact of this is profound. People who practice Tawakkul consistently are calmer. They move forward without being consumed by perfectionism. They don't become paralyzed by fear because they know that success doesn't lie solely in their hands. This doesn't make them lazy, it makes them resilient. They take the step, and if it fails, they say Alhamdulillah and try again. If it works, they say Alhamdulillah and stay humble. And Tawakkul applies to everything, not just big life decisions. It applies to your studies, your career, your relationships, your finances. It applies when you're unsure how to resolve a conflict or when you're afraid of what tomorrow might bring. You get up, you do what you can, you ask Allah for help, and then you walk away from the outcome with a peaceful heart. That is real strength. You don't need to be in control of everything to be safe. You don't need all the answers to be confident. What you need is to understand where your role ends and where Allah's mercy begins. That's what gives you peace. That's what gives you clarity. So start small. When you're about to make a decision, ask yourself, have I done my part? If yes, then stop stressing. Tell yourself, now I leave it to Allah, repeat it until your heart believes it. Because Tawakkul is a practice. It gets stronger the more you live by it, and with each moment of surrender your trust grows, your anxiety fades, and your connection to Allah deepens. You'll begin to notice a shift. Life won't feel so heavy. Every challenge won't feel like a threat. Every delay won't feel like a punishment because you know you're not walking this path alone. When you make Tawakkul a habit, not just a reaction, you stop fearing the unknown because you trust the one who already knows. One of the greatest gifts you can give your soul is peace, not temporary relief, not distraction, but true, sustained inner calm. And yet, this is what so many of us are desperately missing today. Our minds are noisy, our hearts are restless, and we often feel like we're being pulled in 100 directions at once. The irony is, the more we try to control everything around us, the more we lose control within ourselves. But there's a reason for that. Peace doesn't come from having all the answers. It doesn't come from certainty in outcomes or perfection in planning. It comes from surrender. Not surrender in the sense of giving up, but surrender in the truest, most powerful sense, surrendering to the will of Allah with trust and contentment. You see, when you try to carry every burden on your own, when you try to fix every problem, predict every outcome, and protect yourself from every possible disappointment, you're not just exhausting your mind, you're crushing your spirit. And that's not what you were created for. You were never meant to live like that. Islam teaches us something profound. Peace is not the absence of hardship, it's the presence of tawakkul, the presence of trust. That even in the storm, even when you don't understand what's happening, your heart remains steady because you've already handed your affairs over to the one who never makes mistakes. This is why surrendering to Allah is not weakness. It's the highest form of strength. It takes courage to say, I don't know how this will end, but I trust that Allah does. It takes emotional maturity to let go of what you can't control without bitterness or resentment and simply say, Qadar Allah, huwa ma sha'a fa'al, Allah decreed, and He does what He wills. And what's beautiful is that once you reach that level of surrender, your mind begins to quiet down. You stop replaying conversations. You stop imagining every worst case scenario. You stop questioning whether you're falling behind, whether things are happening too slowly, whether you made the right choice. Instead, you start focusing on what you can control. Your effort, your character, your prayer, your response. And you leave the results to Allah. That's where freedom begins. Psychologically, this surrender realigns your perspective. You're no longer a prisoner of perfectionism or fear. You begin to see life as a journey of growth, not a series of pass/fail moments. You stop asking why is this happening to me, and start asking what is Allah teaching me through this, that shift alone changes everything. Even spiritually, surrender brings you closer to Allah in ways that rigid control never can. Because when you surrender, you're no longer worshipping your plans. You're trusting in His wisdom. You're no longer relying solely on your intellect. You're inviting divine guidance into your life. And that's what we all need more of. Not more information, not more overthinking, more trust, more submission, more presence. The Quran says, verily, in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find rest. That's not just a poetic line, it's a lived reality. When you finally let go of everything that's not yours to carry and you remember that Allah is watching, planning, guiding, you begin to breathe again, you begin to live again. So ask yourself, what am I holding on to that I need to surrender? What thoughts, worries or fears am I replaying over and over when I should be handing them to Allah? Because trust me, the moment you do, something changes. When you leave it to Allah, you don't just walk lighter, you walk freer. And that freedom is the beginning of peace.